on the podium.
Hello. I am so honored to be here this afternoon with these others to shed some light on our stories and our struggles. Maybe someone can hear what we've gone through and know that you're not alone. From a very young age, I knew that there was something different about me. I had mood swings that weren't explainable to my surroundings, and I was very often deeply sad over the smallest things. Finding a dead bird in the yard when I was about 7 sent me into a tailspin of monumental sadness and crying over this little lost life. As I continued through grade school, I was very emotional, very shy, very introverted. But there was also something else that consumed a great portion of my life. I was scared. I was scared of everything. So scared, in fact, that I would almost become ill when thinking of taking a test or publicly speaking in class. Neither myself nor my parents realized that this was anxiety. And my sadness was pervasive when something wouldn't go the way that I wanted it to. In my head, I would imagine a happy ending. And when that wouldn't happen, I would become very angry and extremely emotional that it didn't go the way that I wanted it to. I would become angry and increasingly emotional. Christmas is a really good example. Even through my early 20s, every single year, all that buildup, everything going on. And on Christmas Day, at the end of the day, I would find myself sitting underneath the Christmas tree, sobbing my eyes out because it was done. It was over. All that buildup, and it was just gone. And I didn't know how to handle it. But I also seemed to cry for no apparent reason. I just didn't understand any of it. My parents didn't really understand either what was going on with me. They never caught on that there might be something more. As I began junior high, my life took on a big change. I had been in private school since kindergarten, and 7th grade was the first year I ever was in public school. Scared me to death. There were days my anxiety would be so bad, I would be physically sick at the thought of going to school. Now, I was taller than a lot of the other kids. You think? And kids can be mean. And I was the jokes. I was the butt of a lot of jokes and pranks, which caused my anxiety to skyrocket. And my sadness deepened over my hatred of myself and seeing all the other kids who I thought were happy, and I wasn't. When I got into high school, my anxiety and depression worsened, and I started using drugs to escape. Only when I was high was I not sad or emotional. Just before my senior year, my psyche remembered a sexual assault that had happened when I was 9, that I had blocked for many years, and my anxiety worsened. It was then that my PTSD started, and that's post-traumatic stress disorder. But even then, I didn't know what this was. As I moved into my adult life, my anxiety and my depression worsened. They were always there. I just didn't realize that this is what I was dealing with. I knew I had panic attacks, but I didn't know that I was depressed. I just assumed that I was one of those people who had more emotion than others. I was married for 20 years and I had a child, and I tried to live as normal a life as I could, and I also tried to ignore it for as long as I could, as best that I could. But there were times that the depression was so bad I could barely get out of bed. But again, I forced myself to ignore it. My second marriage lasted 7.5 years, And my late husband had his own issues with mental illness, bipolar 2, social anxiety, general anxiety, and PTSD. In January of 2018, dealing with chronic pain, in addition to his mental illness, he decided that he had had enough, and he ended his life through suicide. My world took a tailspin. I was beyond broken. The sadness and what I would become known as widow's fog deepened, although I didn't know even then that that's what I was dealing with. Widow's fog seemed to make what I went through with my sadness, my anxiety, and the PTSD, it was daily. But again, I didn't know what I was dealing with. About the time of the 1-year anniversary of my husband's death, I had a complete mental breakdown and ended up in the ER for a mental health assessment. The doctor almost admitted me to a psychiatric facility. But because my son and my sister were there with me that day and I had amazing friends and family surrounding me, I also had an appointment with my primary care provider the following morning, and my counselor was on speed dial through that first year after my husband's death. They let me go home instead of committing me to a facility. Since then, I've been on medication. But medication is only a tool to help us handle life with mental illness. It can't cure it, and it can't take it away. So while I have amazing doctors and even more amazing friends and family, there are still days when I don't want to get out of bed because I'm so sad that I can't even move. When a panic attack happens out of the blue and I'm blindsided to the point of being scared out of my mind. And when a PTSD trigger will happen, and all I want to do is curl up in a ball and cry myself to sleep. But I've decided to face it head on, make my life public for others to know that they're not alone in living with mental illness, that they're not alone living with any of these issues. I've become an author and a speaker on suicide prevention, mental health awareness, and living as a widow after my husband's suicide. I also fervently speak on finding your new normal after a traumatic loss. Mental illness can hit anyone at any time. It does not ask nor require our permission nor our opinion to invade our lives. My life is made better only by the people that I surround myself with, correct medications, and the mindset that I will not give in to the darkness in the manner that my late husband did. I simply will not. Life is about living. We only get one chance at this life, so I'm making mine the very best that I can, all the while knowing that depression, anxiety, and post-traumatic stress disorder live inside of me. But I've also come to realize that although these things may live with me, they do not define me. Thank you.